Yes, you read the title correctly. I got into the JET program before I came to Korea though. 안녕하세요 여러분. 저는 레티맵스입니다. 내 유튜브 채널을 오신 것을 환영합니다. Yay! Okay, so I'm done speaking Korean. Yeah, before I embarrass myself. Hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time seeing my face, hello. Thank you so much for tuning in, for clicking on this video. I hope that you are going to enjoy it, and should you enjoy it and you want to look around the channel, please feel free. I have a lot of videos right now, so feel free to binge watch all of them. And if you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much. I really appreciate your support. Alright, so let us get to the video. Today I'm going to be talking about something that I think a lot of people don't know about me, and that is the fact that I got into the JET program. So, sometimes I think that I'm not an interesting person. I think that my life is really boring. And until I have a conversation with some people and then I tell them some things about me and they're like, oh, really? And I'm like, wait a minute. Am I interesting? So I never really spoke about how I got into the JET program on my channel because I didn't think that was interesting. But I was talking to a friend of mine last week, and I told her that, yeah, so I also got into the JET program. We were talking about how teachers are also moving to China, and we ended up talking about teaching in Japan. And that's when I told her that I got into the JET program, and she was like, wait, what? Really? Oh my goodness, that is so difficult to get in. And I'm like, I think I'm interested. All right, so back in 2020, when I was applying to come into Korea, when I was applying to come to Korea with the EPIK program, I found out about the JET program. I'm pretty sure some of you are wondering, what is the JET program? And you have come to the right place. The JET program is the Japan Exchange and Teaching Program. So it's a program in which you could become an English teacher, but in Japan. Yeah. And I found out about the application through a friend of mine. And the funny part is that when I found out about the Japan program, I had already sent my application for the EPIK program. But it was during the pandemic, it was still locked down. And because of that, I wanted to have more options. And I was like, okay, so there is this program in Japan. Why not? Let me just give it a try. And I actually applied for the program last minute. So I did not think that I would get in. So I was pleasantly surprised when I got into the program, because the program is quite difficult to get in because of their rigorous interview process. And I will be talking about that. I'll be talking about the difference between EPIK and JET program, and I will be focusing more on like the benefits between the two program, as well as just touch a little bit about the application process. So guys, please don't ask me about the JET application process, because I did this 2 years ago. So some of the things that I did, I had forgotten. If you want to find out more information about how to apply or how to go through the application process, I really advise that you go to the Japanese embassy website in your country, because that's how you apply for the JET program. You apply through the embassy of your country. All right, now that I have said that, let us talk about the difference between the two programs. First of all, I will talk about EPIK. EPIK is a program that I'm currently in. So EPIK is English. English program in Korea. Yes, that's what EPIK stands for. Oh my goodness, I have not done a video about EPIK in so long that I even forgot what it stood for. So that's what it means. So EPIK is you come into Korea to become an English teacher, whereas the JET program is the Japan Exchange and Teaching program. So both of the programs, they actually emphasize on teaching English as well as a cultural exchange. So in both of the in both of the two programs, your role is to become an English teacher as well as be your country's ambassador to kind of sort of introduce your culture to your students. But I think that the JET program they emphasize more on the cultural aspect in comparison to EPIK. Now that I'm teaching in EPIK, I realize that my job I don't get to do a lot of cultural activities with my students unless if there is time, or I don't get to do it because I am a middle school teacher. So we are always working, we always have like a deadline. The students are going to be writing exams, so we always have to make sure that by the time they write exams, they should have covered this part. So sometimes there's not really time to do cultural things or cultural activities, but I'm not sure about the JET program. So guys, please keep that in mind, that I got into the JET program, but I have never taught in Japan. So take some of the information with a grain of salt, and just double check by watching videos of content creators who are actually in Japan and with the JET program, or if you can find someone who is teaching in Japan, and that person can probably give you more reliable answers. Let me tell you a little bit about the application process. To be honest, a lot of people are always saying that the JET application process is very difficult, but at the time I found it to be a little bit much easier than the EPIK, except for the interview part. But like the application process, I think it's a lot easier, and even the document that the JET program requires, they are much easier to obtain than the EPIK one. For example, if you're going to be coming to teach into Korea, these are the following things that you need to have. First of all, you must be from one of the 6 countries. And I've spoken about this in my previous videos. I think some videos that I made back in 2021. Yeah, but I have spoken about them. So you must be from South Africa, the UK, New Zealand, Australia, USA, or Canada. You must be from these 6 countries. If you're not from these 6 countries, you must have studied in those countries from the time when you were in grade 7 until university. Okay, everyone, I hope you guys get that. Whereas the JET program, they take people from over 40 different countries. So if you want to find out if you are eligible to apply for the JET program, what you have to do is go to the Japan embassy website of your country. So just find out. And if there is no Japan embassy in your country, just contact the embassy of a neighboring country. For example, if you are from Botswana or Lesotho or Eswatini and there aren't any embassies in your country, you can just contact the South African, the Japanese embassy in South Africa. Just contact them and find out if you would be eligible to apply for the JET program. Both programs require you to have a bachelor's degree. So you have to have a bachelor's degree to apply for the EPIK program and also the JET program. Unfortunately, your diploma is not gonna cut it. I am not sure about advanced diplomas, because I know that in South Africa an advanced diploma is on the same level as a bachelor's degree. But if you want to know more about this and you are trying to apply for both programs, I really advise you to contact them. Yeah. And when I was reading through this, and I will put the article that I read on my description box, I read that age restriction for the EPIK program is until the age of 62, whereas the JET program, if you are over 40, you cannot apply for the JET program. I actually didn't know this, but I did read some articles just so that I know more about the JET program. And the other thing is that when you apply for the JET program, you also have to do your health medical check in your country. So when I applied for it, I sent my application, and then after passing the first, my dad is calling. Okay, let me tell him that I'll call him later. Okay, please hold on. 잠시만요. Wait, what was I talking about? Hold on. I don't know. I don't remember what I was talking about. Oh yes, I was talking about the health check. So when I applied for the JET program, what happened is that after passing the screening process, the embassy informed me that I had to do a health medical check. So they give you, I think, a month to do it. And yes, so I had to go to a doctor, and then I had to show him the paper, because they send you a paper that should be filled by a physician, and then he must conduct certain medical check procedures. Yeah. In one of the tests, they also had to take my urine sample and test for, I believe, pregnancy and drugs. Whereas with EPIK, you only do your medical check once you get into the country. So when you get to the country, at orientation, you do your medical check then once you are here. And now, let us talk about our favorite topic, shmoney. Shmoney. Okay, so we're going to be talking about compensation between JET and EPIK. All right, so now let me talk about the salary. So when I was researching this, I found out that the salary between JET and EPIK are pretty similar, to be honest. But EPIK actually gives you accommodation, so your school will pay for your apartment. So my apartment is paid for by my school, whereas with JET, that is not always guaranteed. So most of the time you find that the teacher has to pay for their own accommodation. So you do the math. I mean, if the salary is almost the same, but one has to pay rent, you do the math. And also, number 2, both programs will pay for your plane ticket. However, with the EPIK program, you have to buy your own plane ticket when you leave your country. And once you get into the country, that's when your school will reimburse you. Usually they reimburse you within 2 weeks to a month after you have arrived in Korea after working. Yes, so I got my my flight allowance with my first salary. So I had to buy my own plane ticket. But then the JET program, because you apply through the embassy will actually take care of your flights for you. So you leave the country with a plane ticket from the embassy. You don't have to pay anything. Okay, but now the EPIK program, once you get into the country, they also give you a settlement allowance. And this allowance is 300,000 won. I'm not sure how much that is in South African rands or US dollars. And they also give you an entrance allowance. So your entrance allowance is actually your flight reimbursement. So this one is fixed. They give you an entrance allowance, or the flight allowance of 1.3 million Korean won. Let's say your plane ticket was 600,000 won, but then the school will give you an entrance allowance of 1.3 million won. So that means that you have made an extra cash because it is fixed. So they're not going to ask to see how much your plane ticket was so that they can reimburse you. No. They're just going to give you that money to reimburse you for your plane ticket. Yeah. So if you spend less, then you have some extra cash in your pocket. Whereas the JET program, they just buy the plane ticket for you. Okay, and when it comes to your health insurance, so the school pays 50% of that and you pay the other 50%. And when I was doing my research, I found out that with the JET program, you have to pay all of your health insurance. So it's not like EPIK where the school pays 50% and you pay 50%. No. With the JET program, you have got to pay it yourself. At the end of the term, you also have a severance pay, and your severance equates to your 1 month salary with the EPIK program. So yep. So if you're gonna work here for, let's say, 4 years, so you're going to be getting your equivalent of your 1 month salary times 4. So that's gonna be your severance once you finish the term, or once you finish your contract and leave Korea. So you only get your severance when you leave the country, when you are done with the EPIK program. So with the JET program, you also get pension. Actually, the people in Korea can get pension, but it also depends on your country. For example, I believe that people from the US and Canada, they can contribute to pension and they can get that pension and severance once they leave the country. Whereas people from South Africa has an agreement with Korea. We don't pay pension, so once we leave the country, we're not getting anything. But people from the UK, they pay pension, but they don't get it back when they leave. Oh my gosh. So my friend Kelly, she's from the UK. She's always so upset because she gets letters from, I guess I could say, the pension organization that shows her how much she has contributed to pension, but this is the money that she will never get back. And the JET programs also have what is called an unemployment insurance. So this is the money that, so with this one, you can get some sort of money or compensation should you lose your job, but it's not really your fault. So I'm not well versed on this. I just read this on an article, and like I said before, I'm going to be posting the article on my description box. So if you want to read for yourself, just read the article, and if you're still not sure, you can contact someone from the Japanese embassy in your country. And now let us talk about vacation days. So with EPIK, we have 26 paid vacation days. So you can use this day to take some time off of work during winter or summer holidays, and you can travel around, you can leave Korea, you can visit your family. And I read that with JET you have 20 paid days a year. But unlike EPIK, if you don't use some days, they can be carried over to the next year. But with EPIK, that's not the case. So like right now, I think I have about 10 vacation days that are left. So I have to use all of them before the end of my contract. All right, and now I would like to talk about the application process for the JET program. I'm not going to talk about the application process for the EPIK program because I literally have 2 videos on that. I have a video where I talk about all the requirement, and I also have a video where I was just talking about the application process. But you know, I really enjoyed the application process for JET. It was very straightforward, but they are very particular, and if you don't follow their rules, you could get eliminated. All right, I have a document on my left, and this document is the document about the required documents, but this was back in 2021 when I was applying. So I don't know if these are the documents that are still required. If you are applying for JET, or if you have applied for JET within a year, or if you have applied this year and you have more information, or I say something that is not right and you want to correct me, please leave a comment on the comment section. First document that you need to fill in the JET application form. And then it says that the application form must be printed single-sided. Do not print back to back, single-sided, all right? And do not staple any of your documents together. Don't use staplers. Don't use your stapler. Just leave your stapler, okay? And it says that stapled documents will not be accepted. And then also, it says that do not place any document in a separate envelope, plastic sleeve, or file. And number 3, it says that complete the original application form in blue ink. So don't write in black pen. If you write it in black pen, you're out. You are out. And so this was the part that I found to be very interesting. It says that please make 3 complete set of all documents clearly marked at the top center of the first page. So I also did this when I was applying. You have your original set. So these are your original documents. So all the required documents, you will have originals. And then you have copy set A, and you also have copy set B. So you have 3 sets of your documents: original, A, and B. All of the same, but like A and B, they are copies of the original. I was like, that's a lot of documents. Yeah, that was a lot of documents. So here. And because they don't want you to staple any of your documents, you have to use clips. So you have to use clips. And oh my goodness, so they want a 19 millimeter fold back clip. I remember I had to go to, I think I went to CNA, or was it Pep store, and then I had to buy 19 millimeters. I was literally like, do you have a 19 millimeter? I was very, very specific about what I wanted because I really, really wanted to get into the JET program. And here it also says that failure to submit any of the documents in the table below will result immediate disqualification from the JET program. So these are the documents that they want from you. So number one, okay, let me get my laptop. Number one, they want an application form. And then number two, they want a applicant self, so they want a JET program applicant self-report of medical conditions. So this here, you just tell them that you tell them if you have any medical condition, so you're gonna sign it. And then they also want certified records or transcript from universities. So the original must be stamped by their university. So unlike the EPIK program, they don't want them to be sealed. But if you're applying for the EPIK program, your academic transcript must be sealed. So you must send them to Korea sealed. And the seal must also have the university stamp to also show that the content inside have not been tampered with. And then, number four, they want an essay, which is a statement of purpose. I actually really enjoyed writing about this. And you know what? At the end, I will read a little bit of what I wrote, because when I read it, I was like, oh my goodness. I actually really wanted to get into the JET program. And then they want a certification of graduation if you have not received your degree yet. And then they want letters of reference. So they want 2 letters of reference. And then these letters must be signed by the referee. But unlike EPIK program, the EPIK program, they want the letters of reference to be hand signed by the referees. The JET program, they don't specify. So I believe that it's okay for your letters of references to be digitally signed. And then, so the JET program is not a must to have any English language proficiency qualification. So it is not a must to have like a TEFL, TESOL, or CELTA, but it is very advantageous if you have it. And to be honest, I advise anyone who's interested in applying for the JET program to just get the qualification, because it's really, really quick to get it. Like you can literally complete it within a week. Yeah. And they also want a police clearance certificate, just like the EPIK program. And your police clearance certificate should not be older than 6 months. So this is also required by the EPIK program. And they also want a certificate of health. So your certificate of health must be signed and completed by a physician, so a doctor. So you have to go and get a full medical checkup at the doctor. So they will send you the form. So you must take that form and go to a doctor, and then they must fill it up and then conduct the whole entire medical checkup. Yeah. So yeah, and you must also make sure that you send everything before the deadline, of course. And like I said, all your required documents, you must have you must have original set, copy set A, and then copy set B. So you must have 3 batch of them, and then you must put that together and attach it using a fold clip, a 19 millimeter fold clip. Oh, I felt like Nicki Minaj there. And you can courier that. Well, at the time, I had to courier it to the embassy because it was during lockdown. So I could not go myself, but that was okay with me. So now let us talk about the interview. Hey, all right. So this is I think this is the most difficult part about the JET program, is that the interview process is a lot more hectic than the EPIK program interview. So with EPIK, you're only interviewed by one person. But with the JET program, you are interviewed by 3 different people. So I believe that one is a member of the South African embassy, like someone who works in the South African embassy, a South African who works in the South African embassy. And then the other one is a Japanese person who also works for the South African embassy. And number 3 is someone who used to be a teacher in Japan, so who was once in a JET program. So these 3 people will be interviewing you. At least that's what I remember. I believe, yeah, that's what happened. So the JET program interview, to be honest, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the JET program interview, and I think it was because of I prepared a lot about it. I prepared a lot. I think I over prepared because I was going through a breakup during the time, so I needed something to focus on, and I gave all of my focus to the JET program. And every single thing that you write in your statement of purpose, like the essay or in your application form, you can be asked questions about it, because there is a section on the application form where you have to write down if you have received any prize or awards in high school or university. And I put some of the prize awards that I got back in high school. They asked me about them. So they were like, tell us more about this award. How did you get it? What was it about? And I was like, oh my goodness, I didn't know they were gonna ask me about that. But thank goodness I told the truth. So I was able to explain the award, how I got it, and what it was all about. And yo guys, so the award that I got back in high school, it was the William Shakespeare Cultural Award of Excellence. Huh? Something like that, yeah. So they asked me to explain why I got that. And I got that because I was in a play. So if that award was for a student who was really good in arts. So I was in a play and I won the Best Actress Award and also won that as well. So I had to explain that I was in a play, and they were like, what was the play about? So I had to tell them what the play was about. The play was literally about Troy and Helena of Troy, and what was that guy's name? But it was all about Sparta, and oh my goodness, I forgot. When was this? Oh my goodness, this was like almost 10 years ago. Of course I forgot about it. And then I told them about what the play was about and how I had to sing. And then they asked me to sing. I was like, oh my God. Guys, I sang in that interview. Oh my goodness, I sang. So I sang on that interview. So of course I got the job because I sang. Oh my goodness. And yeah, so it was on, so the interview usually is done in person. So you have to go to the embassy and then you have to be interviewed by 3 people. But because of it was the lockdown, it had to be virtually. So it was a Microsoft Teams video conference with 3 people. So my video was on, and like the camera of the interviewer was on, but the other 2, they were off until they had to ask me questions. So everybody was just asking me questions, but like at the end I knew at the end of that interview that I nailed it. I got it. Because it was so much fun. Like, to be honest, I really had so much fun talking to everyone, and each and every single person had different questions. Like I think the lady, I forgot what her name was, but the Japanese lady, she asked me more on the cultural parts. And then the guy who was a previous JET scholar, should I say scholar, but JET teacher, he asked me more about the teaching aspects. And I think the guy from the South African embassy, he actually asked questions to verify whether what I had written on my application was true or not. But I really, really enjoyed the interview. Even though it was scary, it was literally 3 people just asking me questions like this. But it was so much fun. Like by the end, I knew. I was like, I got that job. I got that job. It was really fun. And so I'm pretty sure, yeah, it was really fun. And now I'm pretty sure you're asking yourself, like, if I had so much fun interviewing for the JET program and even through the application process, why would I choose EPIK over JET? And the truth is, EPIK came first. It came first. So like I said, I applied for EPIK and JET at the same time during the lockdown. And it was a time when there was so much uncertainty. Like I remember, I think I have mentioned this in a lot of my videos, but I should have been in Korea back in February 2021. But because of the Rona, there was a new variant that was detected in South Africa. It was very prevalent in South Africa and the UK. So the Korean government was not allowing anyone from the UK or South Africa at the time. So I had to be deferred. I had to be deferred to the August intake. And there was also a time when Japan was not allowing all the foreigners to enter the country. So I was able to leave South Africa in August 2021. Whereas if I had stayed with the JET program, I would have left, I think, in 2022 July. So EPIK came first, and I was like, okay, I have always been very interested in the Korean culture. And I was really excited about that as well. So I was like, let me go. So, and then I chose EPIK over JET. So I'm just gonna read a little bit of my statement of purpose because I am really, really proud of it. And to be honest, when I was reading it earlier, I kept on thinking about what my life would have been like if I had to went for the JET program, because I actually got placed in Japan. So I got placed in Toshigi. I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm probably saying it wrong, and I really apologize. Okay, so I'm just gonna read a little bit about just why. Okay, so this part over here, because I was like, oh girl, you were so good at this. Okay, so it's just like a snippet, just a small piece about what I wrote in my essay, so my statement of purpose. And your statement of purpose is so important because this is the first introduction that the people at the embassy get from you. So it's very, very, very important. So I wrote, the first time I was introduced to the Japanese culture was through a movie, My Tomorrow, Your Yesterday. As a foreigner to the Japanese culture, I found certain scenes to be particularly enlightening regarding the culture. The main characters started calling each other by their surnames. After some time, they began calling each other Takotoshi-chan and Emi-san. As they were growing slightly closer with each other, as their relationship progressed, they agreed to be more familiar and dropped the san and the chan altogether. That aspect of the culture sparked a lot of interest in me. This interest grew gradually as I watched more Japanese movies. And so I wanted to explore the Japanese culture, to taste the food, to learn the Japanese language, to interact with the people, both young and old. And I would like to do all of that in Japan. And I would love to do that while teaching my students and my colleagues about my culture. So, like when I read it, when I read that, I kept on thinking a lot about what my life would have looked like if I had went for the JET program. Would I have been happier? Would I have been happy with my life in Japan. With Toshigi, would I have loved Toshigi as much as I love Jeollanam-do in Korea? I look at my life in Korea, and if I'm being honest, I'm in a good place. I am very happy. I love the town that I am placed in. It may be small, it may not be as buzzing and as lively as Seoul or Busan or Gwangju, but I just love the peace and quiet that it has to offer me. I look around the friends that I have made, and to be honest, they're some of the best people I have ever met in my life, and I'm so grateful that I get to experience this with them by my side. And my co-workers and my colleagues, they make my job so much fun. Let me not get emotional. But they make my job so much fun. I have grown really close with my co-workers and my students. Like, my students make my job really worth it. I feel fulfilled because of the relationship that I have with them. But you know, sometimes at the back of my head, I keep thinking about what life would have looked like in Toshigi. So I guess at the end of the day, the JET program will always be my biggest what if. But you never know, maybe one day I'll apply for the JET program, and who knows, maybe I'll get into the program once again. And should that happen, I will definitely be letting you guys know, and I will also be sharing that experience with you guys. And I would just like to thank you so much for watching this video until this far. If you have not subscribed to my channel, why not? Seriously, why not? Subscribe, please. And if you know more about the JET program, or if you are thinking about applying for the JET program, leave a comment. Tell me why Japan and not Korea. And if you're thinking of applying to the JET program, you know what? I would advise you guys to do it. I always advise people to apply for both programs. Apply for both programs. You just never know. You never know. I mean, what if you apply for EPIK and you don't get in? What if you apply for just JET and you don't get in? But apply for both of them. You might be surprised to find out that you get into both of them. And I always say this, I'd rather be overwhelmed by my option than my lack of options. You learn something. Don't say I've never educated you. Don't ever say I've never done anything for you. Yeah, thank you so much for watching this video until this far. I really appreciate your support. Yeah, and I'll see you on another video.